So as most of you guys who have been watching the channel for quite a while now would probably know, I absolutely love Tobey Maguire. He is by far my favorite Spider-Man. He is the Spider-Man I grew up with. I just think the man is a fantastic actor. Like, he's so good in so many other films like Brothers as well. Personally, at the end of the day, I'd probably just let Tobey Maguire sit on my fucking face at this rate. I love this man so much, and it's just how it is. And one of the things I have been wanting ever since I was a kid was to see Tobey Maguire return as Spider-Man. I, of course, wanted this to be Spider-Man 4. That didn't end up happening. I think, of course, the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 movies came out. I personally did not watch them. Obviously, a lot of people did not. They've gained a massive fan, I think, cult in more recent years, which is pretty good, because I did end up watching them in the end. I did actually like the first one. I did actually like the darker tone of it. The second one was pretty crap, obviously, but that, of course, ended up happening. We ended up getting Tom Holland Spider-Man, but after a couple movies with that, they were like, shit, we need to bring back the GOAT, and Tobey Maguire, of course, returned for Spider-Man No Way Home. And this is genuinely just fueled so much more of not only myself, but other people to be like, we want to see Tobey Maguire have a fourth Spider-Man movie. We not only want to see him in the new Avengers movies, we want to see him get his own movie. And this has, of course, led to a lot of interviewers being like, well, we can maybe start asking some of the old cast and the directors, producers about this. And you can tell this is caught on a fair bit. Again, Sam Raimi was actually asked a little bit ago if he would still want to make Spider-Man 4, and I can't even speak. He, in fact, still does want to make Spider-Man 4, is what I'm trying to say. According to Lucas Soraz, Sam Raimi still wants to make Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire because he has the same desire as we do. He says, if it's to happen, it will be at the right time. Again, you might be thinking, well, of course the director, he maybe wants to make a movie on this. Why wouldn't he, right? But is that enough to really say that there could be some truth to this eventually being made in a couple years? Well, not only do we have that, but Thomas Hayden Church went on a podcast, and this is not the only time he's done this. This is the second time now he has gone on someone's podcast, and he says he thinks that Sam Raimi will be making a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. He did actually say that he was, in fact, contracted to do a fourth one if he wanted to come back and they wanted to bring him back. And he said he would be very, very happy to do it. And again, this is I don't know why I have a peg, but I'm holding something. This has been the second time he has now said that he, of course, wants to do it. So I'm really hoping this does actually happen. Again, people are really starting to find out about the original Spider-Man 4 storyboard art as well. Again, there was a lot going on with this film. Of course, we do know that it was supposed to start off with Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker catching a bunch of low-level crooks like Mysterio, and then eventually he would come across Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, who would be played by John Malkovich. At least that was in the original script. We, of course, do know that Mysterio and Vulture have been used for other purposes now down the line, but I thought it was just pretty interesting to note that, again, this project had been started at one point. Storyboard was there. Sam Raimi had a script really coming along, and Tobey Maguire was, again, set to return to play pretty much the most iconic Spider-Man we have ever, of course, seen. Now, again, do I think this is going to happen, right? It is very tough to say, because a part of me, because I'm such a huge fan of Tobey Maguire and the Spider-Man movies, of course I think it's going to happen, but is it because I want it to happen, right? It's really tough to say. The thing is, Sony are really struggling right now with their Spider-Man universe that doesn't have Spider-Man. Venom was a great start. I really liked Venom, and I have been very vocal on this channel that I like Venom. We of course know following that Venom 2 would come out and Morbius would come out. Now, I think Morbius is a pretty bad movie, but I've been on record to say this, and this might be semi-controversial, but I'm happy to say it online because I know people don't like, typically, the Venom sequel. I actually found Morbius to be more enjoyable than the Venom sequel. I'm not saying it's a better movie. I found it more enjoyable, and that's how much I disliked the Venom sequel. And now we've got movies like Madam Web that was made, which people are saying is like the worst movie of all time, which is pretty funny. Again, I am yet to see it, but I have heard a fair bit about it just because my wife, Sydney Sweeney, of course, did actually film that movie. So every time she'd come back home to me, before we'd, of course, do the deed, she'd tell me about this awesome Madam Web movie that didn't apparently end up being awesome, and I just haven't had the guts to, of course, go and watch this movie with her, is what I'm trying to say here, of course. But they've got a big problem here with this Venomverse that doesn't have any Spider-Man in it. You've got Kraven the Hunter coming out pretty soon, which looks like it's going to have the same issues of Morbius, where the story is just going to suck, and it's just going to be some villain they're trying to turn into an ultimate anti-hero, which doesn't look great. And then we know Venom 3, I believe, is the last confirmed movie that we have heard about so far, which, God, there have been a ton of rumors I've spoken about on this channel already. Rumors that Topher Grace's Venom is going to make an appearance. I find that to be pretty badass, I'm not going to lie. I actually am one of the few people that thought his Venom was kind of cool because it was a different angle, which apparently you're not allowed to do in Hollywood, but I don't know. I fucked with it. I thought Topher Grace was kind of cool as Venom, but whatever. Sue me. Anyway, I am really anxious to see how those movies are going to go. I already know Kraven's probably going to suck just because of how much it looks like Morbius and the whole entire how that movie was made. Venom 3 has got potential. It's got a new director who's never directed a movie, I don't believe. I think it's Callie Marcel who wrote the Venom movies. That doesn't always work, but it has worked in the past. Where I'm eventually trying to go with this is, this universe has no future. And a part of me is hoping, even though it looks like a Sinister Six movie might actually get announced, which could be a cool concept because you still have Venom. Kraven could be an okay character. Morbius might work better in a movie like that. Vulture's apparently supposed to be in it with Michael Keaton, as we know. I still think they should maybe abandon ship and just be like, come on, we gotta make movies that people actually want. Of course, people want an Amazing Spider-Man 3, but would that get enough attention? I don't think so, and some of the original script ideas they had for that sound pretty weird, and even though everyone's saying he should get the symbiote in that movie, I think with the redeeming arc he had in No Way Home, which people just seem to forget about, it makes no sense. It makes much more sense for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, who has nothing now, to eventually get the symbiote, right? I think Tobey Maguire should get a fourth movie. Even, look, the TV show probably wouldn't make sense, but if they put a massive budget into it, I could see a lot of people watching it. But I think a Spider-Man 4 movie, which has the premise of Tobey Maguire being a lot older, having the daughter, Mayday Parker, which would be the first time in live action, I believe, obviously, would be a kind of a cool concept. And we could see, again, that same idea of Tobey Maguire taking down these lower level crooks like Mysterio over the years, and then maybe he gets a pretty cool villain. It probably won't be the Vulture. It will be someone that Sam Raimi can feel connected to, similar to how Sandman, Green Goblin, and Doc Ock were portrayed, less than Venom. I've seen some people saying that they should do a Cletus Cassidy, a Carnage, and actually do it right, unlike the sequel to Venom. Again, that completely contradicts the Sam Raimi wanting to have a villain that like people can relate to type thing again. So that won't happen. I'm not exactly too sure what villain they could do, because a lot of them are going to be used for Tom Holland's new upcoming trilogy that we're probably, of course, going to see. Again, I do think a couple of those lower level ones like Mysterio, potentially Shocker, would be cool. The main villain, I'm not exactly too sure, right? Because I just don't think Carnage would work, just because of how Sam Raimi, it probably wouldn't happen. We do know, again, obviously Sandman would probably make an appearance. That would be pretty cool. And maybe, I don't know, maybe somehow or some way, if they want to keep doing this multiversal stuff, maybe somehow, some way, we get to see Michael Keaton's Vulture somehow go on a Tobey Maguire's movie, and he then has to face him. A very relatable villain that everyone loves, that I think Sam Raimi would still be able to play with. I just don't think they're definitely not going to go with that John Malkovich idea like they did back in the day. Probably wouldn't do a Black Cat idea, especially if he's got a child. There's definitely a lot they can do, but yeah, I'm just not exactly too sure where they're going to go if they were to do it. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Are you guys interested in seeing a Spider-Man 4 movie with Tobey Maguire? I'd very much like to know. Subscribe to my sports channel and my IRL/vlog channels, which will be linked in the description down below. And as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.